sort of a separate thing as long as there's, I mean, like the publishing can only help the commissioner because it means their name sort of gets out into the world. So that's, but in terms of like ownership, I mean, I think there's a clause in there that says something about but that every copy of the music has a line that says commissioned by somebody. And I'll probably have a program that talks about like so.
That was that.
If anyone else sings it, they'll
That was your proposal in that piece of the just putting the process.
Yeah. My head hurts and the lights are too bright. It's a weird pain. It's not a headache pain. It's like a behind the eyes kind of discomfort. I haven't had one that was like truly debilitating in a long time. Which is good.
Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples. My name is Tony Fisher. Just happy to be here, happy to have you with us. Welcome to anybody who's joining us on Facebook Live this morning. It's great to have you with us as well. I see a couple of people out on the pavilion waving. Good morning. It's beautiful out there. And a few people coming in. So I'll talk slowly. So this morning I want to express my gratitude for our Social Justice Committee, which sort of reestablished itself earlier last year and has been working to figure out where we're going and what we're doing in terms of our social justice programming. One of the things that they do is choose who we will share our plate with once a month on the second Sunday of every month. Anybody in the Social Justice Committee here in the sanctuary? There's Sherry, Kathy, Steve, Janet, Alan. Well, I think you all deserve a round of applause. I think that's what I think. So on our second Sunday of the month, half of our collection, our offering goes to a chosen organization outside of the congregation. And this month's recipient is GLSEN of Collier County, a local chapter of the National GLSEN organization working to ensure safe and supportive schools for all students, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity. The chapter provides student educator support, policy advocacy, teacher training, and community events. To learn more about GLSEN, check out Collier County Chapter Florida 1 GLSEN, G-L-S-E-N. So I'll mention this again later, but our Split the Plate today will go to GLSEN of Collier County. I have a few announcements today. First of all, it is the Split the Plate Sunday. Second of all, we have a forum today. Jack Gorski will be presenting down in Thomas Hall after the service at 11:30. Our new forum, our reestablished forum, is focused on members of the congregation who would like to share some of their expertise and some of their interests. So I hope you'll go down and check out Jack's. Jack, what's the title? You can't remember? Right, so, right, exactly. He said that the talk today is about gravity, sort of the natural law of physics, and diversity, sort of wondering if diversity is sort of a natural law of social interaction. So you couldn't have said it better yourself, right? Great. Also, on Wednesday this week, we have a coffee house, which is sort of a seasonal coffee house. This time of year, our beginning of our congregational year, fall up north, we don't get the kind of colors. But if you have been for a while, you do recognize the changes like this morning. Wasn't it nice? Wow. We also are collecting non-perishable food, diapers, clothing, and toiletries for Mission Peñel in Immokalee, for our Immokalee farm worker community. There are 2 boxes in the foyer for these items. Lists of what's needed are on the boxes and on the table. This is a community that has struggled mightily for a long time, and especially right now as they're under so much stress due to the immigration policies of this government. So providing some goods that we can provide out there, and there'll be more for us to do in terms of maybe supporting Mission Peñel later on this year. Finally, at least the ones that I have, get ready, and you saw Captain Hook outside this morning, now sitting in the back row. I'm just watching carefully to make sure no swords appear. Our Fall Fest and pumpkin carving is on Saturday the 25th in the late afternoon. We hope that anybody who would like to get their hands gushy with pumpkin mush and carve a pumpkin, or just sit and socialize and enjoy the food and the kids will come. Open to everybody. It's a great time. I think we're growing this idea, and I think we had like 50 plus people last year at least. So it's a fun time, absolutely. So plan on being there. So let's take a deep breath and center ourselves for this hour together with this morning's prelude. We light our chalice as a symbol of gratitude this morning as we celebrate the abundance of our lives. Here in this sanctuary, we offer up what we can of compassion and generosity, and we gather what we need of courage and hope. May we be grateful for the ways we nourish and uplift one another, for it is in this sharing of this life that sustains us. Please join me in the chalice lighting response on the screen. Each day, the first day. Each day, a life. Each morning, we must hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, and to give back. And let's rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening hymn. It's number 7 in the gray hymnal, but it's sung to another tune altogether. So pay attention to the screen. I think that'll be helpful. Oh, thank you. Wow, that was great. I do think I'm going to institute the idea I've had is putting a chair up here, and week by week, one of you can come up and just listen to this congregation sing. And it's, from the time I arrived here till now, it is incredibly different. So just saying, all right? Not that we didn't have powerful voices in this congregation before Sandy Brown, but I think that, but you guys are great. Thank you. A few weeks ago outside at the vigil outside the detention center, the Everglades detention camp, Sensei Lori Lyons, who has spoken and taught here many times, shared a simple story. It goes like this. One day, Layman Pang and his daughter, Ling Xiao, were out selling bamboo baskets. Coming down off a bridge, Layman stumbled and fell face down into some mud, and the baskets he was carrying all flew up in the air and scattered around him. When Ling Xiao saw this, she ran to her father's side and threw herself face forward into the mud. "What are you doing?" cried Layman. "I saw you fall, so I'm helping," said Ling Xiao. "Luckily, no one was looking," said her father. This is a koan, and koan are things you need to think about and meditate on. But Laurie, in talking to the group, talked about falling with as a complete expression of empathy. To be fully present to someone without judgment, without trying to fix things, to be present with them, to experience their fall wholeheartedly. One commentator thought about the times when their child was just learning to walk and maybe just fell down, and they fell down with them, just laughing, falling down with, not judging, not criticizing, but complete empathy. Falling or failing or being hurt, it reminds us that life is uncertain, unknowable, unpredictable. All of us are subject to falling. Surprisingly, though she was present in solidarity for the detainees behind the fence at the detention camp, Laurie's tale in this case referred to those who are making the decisions to round up and detain and deport our immigrant neighbors. They have fallen into the mud. And so what Laurie did next was also astonishing. She walked into the middle of the gathering where there was a muddy depression, and she sat down in the mud. And she said she would stay there for the rest of the vigil and meditate for those who had fallen. Needless to say, there's a lot to both the tale and the story of Laurie. Koans in general are supposed to lead us somewhere, to reflect deeply on their meaning. And sometimes there are no answers, and that's true most often. They are really just triggers to get us to think deeply. In her book, The Wisdom of No Escape, How to Love Yourself and the World, American Buddhist nun Pema Chodron shares a story that's been told innumerable times in many different ways, and perhaps you've heard it. It goes like this. A big, burly samurai comes to a wise teacher and says, "Tell me the nature of heaven and hell." The teacher looks him in the face and says, "Why should I tell a sweaty, disgusting, miserable slob like you?" The samurai starts to get purple in the face. His hair stands up on end, but the teacher doesn't let up. He keeps saying, "A miserable worm like you, do you think I should tell you anything?" Consumed by rage, the samurai draws his sword and he's just about to cut off the head of the teacher when the teacher says, "That is hell." The samurai, who in fact is trained and is a sensitive person, instantly gets it. And that he has just created his own hell. He was deep in hell. It was black and hot and filled with hatred, self-protection, anger, and resentment, so much so that he was going to kill this man before him. Tears well up in his eyes, and he starts to cry, and he puts his palms together, and the teacher says, "That is heaven." Chodron tells us that this story really that there isn't really any heaven or hell except for how we choose to relate to the world. Hell, she says, is simply resistance to life as it is. When you want to say no to a situation, it's fine to say no. But when you build up steam to the point where you're so riled up that you would draw your sword, literally or figuratively, that kind of resistance in life is hell. Better to develop an open heart and an open mind to hell, heaven, or anything else. Only then can we realize no matter what comes along, we'll be standing at the center of the world in the middle of a sacred space. And everything that comes within our sphere of influence and exists with us there has come to teach us what we need to know. The Buddhist way is to wake up and stay awake to what is going on within our circle, to stay open and curious, to develop some sense of empathy for everything that comes along, to get to know its nature, and to let it teach you what it will. One practice that will help us move towards this openness is Metta meditation, also known as loving kindness meditation. This is a Buddhist practice that focuses on developing feelings of goodwill, kindness, and warmth towards ourselves, towards those we know and love, and towards others, and perhaps even others that we disagree with or are angry with. The word metta in Pali means loving kindness or benevolence. The practice usually involves reciting specific phrases that express wishes for well-being and happiness. And these phrases are initially directed towards the self, towards one loved one, neutral persons, difficult persons, finally towards all beings. Our centering hymn this morning, Filled with Loving Kindness, puts the practice to music. Let's sing it now. It's number 1031 in the Teal hymnal. The words will be on the screen.
May I be filled
We are a welcoming community that values greater connection with one another and with those we don't know. On Sunday mornings, we take this time to share with one another those personal joys or sorrows that we're holding. Sometimes we keep holding them, sometimes we're ready to share. If you have something this morning that you would like to share with us, raise your hand, share your name, and I will bring you the microphone. Joys and sorrows.
Hi, I'm Joan Leary. I think you know maybe that I chair the Caring Committee along with Adrian Cady, and that's a joy for me. And also, one of the members came up to me and had a wonderful suggestion, and so I thought I would share it with you, which is we don't take attendance here. So we don't know when you're missing, and we miss you. So this is an opportunity for a collaborative effort for us each to notice what friends are not here or who's not here. And if you would send them an email, give them a call, check on them. If it's something where they really need some specific help, call Tony, me, Adrian, and we will see how we can help. But I thought this was a wonderful suggestion, and I invite you to participate. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Hi, my name is Linda Allen, and I have a joy to share with you. Pam and I were visiting family, and we have a new 2-month-old edition of a great niece, I guess. And while in Columbus, I visited Susan Music, who is recovering from knee surgery, and she's doing very, very well. And her daughter lives about 10 minutes away. I got to meet her. And Susan misses all of us here. And I guess someone in her family is expecting a baby. And between that and her rehab, which is going very well, we may not see her until January. So keep her in your thoughts. But she is doing great on rehab.
Thank you, Linda.
Hi, I'm Susie Riddle, and I'm here with one of my best friends, and that's part of my joy. I have joy and sorrows. Yesterday was my friend Philip of 55 years' birthday, October 11th. He turned 76. And I took him out, and we had a pretty much nice time. And then after he went home, I went, October 11th, something else on October 11th. And I realized I had totally forgotten that it was the day my father died. And then I became very sad because I really miss him, even though it's been a long time. He had a PhD in political science from Princeton University, where me and my twin were born a year after he graduated his undergraduate degree. And he taught political science at Hamilton College and then Rutgers until he went to John Jay College of Criminal Justice, which was a brand new place as part of City University of New York. He first was dean of faculty, and then the first president died, and they made him president. So during his term there, the college grew from just a small college for police, and there were some FBI agents there, and then it grew through open admissions to a full-fledged international community. But while he was there, one professor made a negative comment about J. Edgar Hoover in his class, and the FBI agent wrote a paper about it and took it to the typing pool. So Hoover found out and called up my father and demanded that he fire the professor or he would withdraw all the agents. My father said no and a few other choice words. And I am just appalled at what is going on now with coercion and blackmail and Trump and his cronies, dictating what universities do. And my father, but I wish I could talk to him about it. So, but my joy was that I totally forgot because it was my good friend Philip's birthday. And also my sadness is that Diane Keaton died, a great actress.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Angel, and I have joys and sorrows. So my joy is that I'm here at church right now and with my favorite mentor, Susan. And my sorrow is, I think it was about a month ago or this month, but my mom passed away. I think it was like September or October 16th or whatever, but I think it was her anniversary of death or whatever, but that's all I got.
Thank you, Angel. Thank you, Susan.
Good morning. I'm here to share a joy, although that last sorrow, I'm still collecting myself. My joy was walking with many of you yesterday was our kickoff event for Circle of Friends. And many of you came out to support that event, and it was just a joy to walk with you. And we raised funds for the Weekend Meals Program. Missy Cowan and Sandy Cunningham, thank you for sharing that wonderful work with both the congregation who came, but also outside friends who came to support it. Our goal was to raise $2,000, and I think we doubled that. So It was a good day.
Good. Thank you, Kathy.
Good morning. I'm Cynthia Scher. My joy today is that I had the bravery to stand up for what I believed in. It's not always easy, and I had started a new job a couple months ago, and we were having a symposium last week, and one of the evenings was going to be a team building dinner at Seed to Table. And many of the people in my group are from out of town. They have no idea about the background. Plus, I don't talk to people about politics at work. So, it was really a struggle for me to decide how I was going to handle this. And what I finally came down to is that the situation out in the world, I always feel like it's so huge, like what can I do? And I've done my little part to be be an activist in some way or another, whether it's marching or, boycotting or whatever. And I realized, like, I would be so disappointed in myself if I attended. And I struggled all weekend last weekend, and I finally wrote a note to my boss, and he completely understood my not going. I would have hoped that he would have had it at a different venue to accommodate other people as well, but the fact that I stood up for what I believed in and I did not go really meant a lot to me, and several people within the group understood afterwards and also supported me. So that was my joy, was to just be able to stand up for what I believed in.
Hi, my name's Bill McCormick. Marie and I just returned from a long trip up north. Among other things, we were able to visit some of our Emerson grads going from Dartmouth down to Duke. But I want to mention one in Philadelphia, Lindsay Abelard, who you've met, Tony. She's a PhD candidate at Penn in epidemiology, and we met up with her in the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia, which was, I think, started in the 1700s, and it's a beautiful Gothic building, and Lindsay is attending, so she must have had some good vibes about Unitarianism when she was in Emerson Academy. So I'm really happy about that.
Especially. Thank you, Ted. Thank you to all who have shared. For anniversaries, for rediscovering, meeting up with friends, for courage, which all of us need to live in this world these days. Let's settle ourselves comfortably for a meditation by Thich Nhat Hanh. Let us be at peace with our bodies and our minds. Let us return to ourselves and become wholly ourselves. Let us be aware of the source of being common to us all and to all living things. Evoking the presence of the great compassion, let us fill our hearts with our own compassion towards ourselves and towards all living beings. Let us pray that we ourselves cease to be the cause of suffering for each other. With humility and with awareness of the existence of life and of the sufferings that are going on around us, let us practice the establishment of peace in our hearts and on earth. Let's share some time of extended silence. in his long and wonderful life, the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh made a difference in the world, teaching presence and peace. So much of his work was built on connecting people and trying to make folks understand how connected we all are, not just between ourselves and among those we love, but across all people and all beings. First reading is asks, I think, ultimately, for me, who is the object of this poem? You are me, and I am you. Isn't it obvious that we inter-are? You cultivate the flower in yourself so that I will be beautiful. I transform the garbage in myself so that you will not have to suffer. I support you. You support me. I am in this world to offer you peace. You are in this world to bring me joy.
Spell of magic, I would make this enchantment for you. A burgundy heart-shaped medallion with a window that you could look through, so that when all the mirrors are angry with your faults and all you must do, you could peek through that heart-shaped medallion and see you from my point of view.
A book that contains a number of these affirmations by Thich Nhat Hanh. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I am committed to cultivating the insight of interbeing and compassion, and learning ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I am determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to support any act of killing in the world, in my thinking or in my way of life. Seeing that harmful actions arise from anger, fear, greed, and intolerance, which in turn comes from dualistic and discriminative thinking, I will cultivate openness, non-discrimination, and non-attachment to views in order to transform violence, fanaticism, and dogmatism in myself and in the world. There's another story about heaven and hell that you might have heard. Long ago in Japan, an old woman, a benefactor of the monastery there, wanted to see for herself the difference between heaven and hell. Given her generosity, the monks in the temple agreed to grant her request. First, they said, "You shall see hell." And they put a blindfold over her eyes. And when the blindfold was removed, the old woman stood at the entrance of a great hall that was filled with round tables, each piled high, with the most delicious feasts, meats, vegetables, fruits of every kind, and dessert to make your mouth water. The woman noticed that there were people seated just out of arm's reach of the tables. Their bodies were thin, their pale faces convulsed with frustration. Each person held a pair of chopsticks almost 3 feet long. With the chopsticks, they could reach the food, but they could not get the food back into their mouths. As the old woman watched, a hungry, angry sound rose into the air. "Enough," she said. "Let me see heaven." And when the blindfold was removed the second time, the old woman rubbed her eyes, for there she stood again at the entrance to the great hall with tables piled high with the same sumptuous feast. Again, she saw the people seating just out of arm's reach of the food with those long chopsticks. But the people in heaven were plump and rosy-cheeked. And as she watched, the musical sound of laughter filled the air. And then the woman laughed too, for now she understood the difference. The people in heaven were using those 3-foot-long chopsticks to feed one another. Again, the difference between heaven and hell is how we choose to relate to one another and the circumstances in which we find ourselves. Going back to Laurie Lyons telling the story of Ling Chao and then sitting in the mud to meditate, I think on how she has chosen to respond to the world with loving kindness, with those who have suffered and those who have fallen, and meditate for their well-being and happiness. Of course, it doesn't mean she is not active. She was at the vigil, after all. But aside from sitting in the mud, of course, a lot of us would find the root of loving kindness difficult. We are angry and we're frustrated and we want to find a way to express our feelings, to do something about what's happening in our world. I mentioned last week that I was having difficulty with my own anger. I actually said rage at what's going on. So I meditated on that this week, and I also looked up the words for anger and rage. And anger, I read, as a normal human emotion that everyone experiences from time to time, usually in response to something that we perceive as unfair to us or threatening or frustrating. Anger can vary in its intensity from mild irritation to strong anger, but it's usually manageable and can be expressed in healthy ways if we so choose. On the other hand, rage, according to what I read, is an intense, explosive anger that's often out of control. It can lead to destructive behaviors such as verbal or physical aggression. Rage is usually a sign that someone has reached a breaking point and is no longer able to manage their emotions in a healthy way. Well, I certainly don't want to have any rage, that's for sure. You know, I want to be a good guy, but so what is it I'm feeling? I guess I'm feeling anger. And rage certainly wasn't the word I wanted to best describe how I've been feeling. And then I looked up the word outrage. Outrage moves me closer to what I've been feeling. I don't know about you. Outrage, I read, is an intense form of anger that is usually sparked by perceived injustice, offense, or moral violation, often accompanied by feelings of shock, disgust, or indignation. Outrage can be a powerful motivator for social change, as it can inspire people to speak out against injustice or to take action to right or wrong. Compared to anger and rage, outrage is more likely directed outward at the person or situation that has caused the injustice or offense. It also tends to have a more moral or ethical dimension, so I begin to like myself moving towards outrage as opposed to rage. But still, what's the best way to channel that kind of a feeling? As the Buddha said, as related in the Dhammapada, hatreds do not cease in the world by hating, but by non-hating, or love as it's sometimes translated. This is an ethical truth, he said. Overcome anger by love, overcome evil by good, overcome the miser by giving, overcome the liar by truth. The Buddha also said, anger with its poison source and fevered climax is murderously sweet. And with that murderous sweetness comes pain. The satisfaction of anger is extremely brief, but it produces isolation and disconnection, and it distances us from the world around us instead of connecting us. Sounding very much like the Buddha, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, returning hate for hate multiplies hate, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Then there was Oscar Wilde, who had the ability to find humor in the obvious, and he said, always, always forgive your enemies. Nothing annoys them so much. In the Buddhist sense of the word love or loving kindness, metta in Pali, the language of the oldest Buddhist texts, means to wish for the happiness of someone. It's not to be in love, it's simply to wish for their happiness. The command to love everyone, including those who harm you, might seem impossible or incomprehensible, but it is possible to wish that everyone, even our enemies, may find happiness. In fact, wishing for their happiness is the only way we may be able to free ourselves from their torment. We probably can't change them, but we can change our own attitude towards them. It's important to remember that we always have this choice. And Buddhist meditation is one way to quiet the mind, train the mind to choose a better path than anger. Then using mindfulness, we can say, oh, I'm angry. I don't want to go there. And rather than feeling angry or helpless over our anger or guilty that we're angry, we can simply observe it, accept it, and then let it go. Choose a different path, and that's the first step towards loving, or at least tolerating, our enemies. Metta meditation focuses on the development of good feelings, goodwill, good kindness, and warmth towards oneself and others, the purpose of which is to cultivate feelings of kindness, compassion, and empathy, and to break down barriers between oneself and others. A regular practice of metta meditation can lead to a more positive outlook on life, reduced stress and anxiety, better relationships, and there is, in fact, scientific research to back this up. One such study published in the journal Emotion showed that just 7 minutes of loving kindness meditation increased feelings of social connectedness towards strangers, including people of different race or ethnicities. Another study published in the journal Psychological Science found that practicing loving kindness for a total of about 6 hours over time increased feelings of kindness and compassion for oneself and others, even for difficult people in one's life. Neuroscientific research has also shown that long-term practice of metta meditation has been associated with structural changes in the brain, including increased gray matter density in regions associated with empathy and emotion regulation. In another of the Buddha's discourses related in the Pali text, Buddha says, 2 things will lead you to supreme understanding. And what are those 2? Tranquility and insight. If you develop tranquility, what benefit can you expect? Your mind will develop. So the Buddha knew. The benefit of a developed mind, he said, is that you are no longer a slave to your impulses. If you develop insight, what benefit will it bring? You will find wisdom. And the point of developing wisdom is that it brings you freedom from the blindness of ignorance. A mind held bound by unconsidered impulse and ignorance can never develop true understanding. But by the way of tranquility and insight, the mind will find freedom. Pema Chodron, again, in the book How to Love Yourself and Your World, tells another story that, again, may be familiar to you, but maybe you haven't thought about it in different ways. You haven't meditated on it, maybe. Pema is talking about a woman who is running away from tigers. She runs and runs, and the tigers are getting closer and closer. She comes to the edge of a cliff. She sees some vines there. She climbs down and holds on to the vines. Looking down, she sees that there are other tigers below as well. Then she notices that a mouse is gnawing away at the vine to which she is clinging. She also sees a beautiful little bunch of strawberries close to her, growing out of a clump of grass. So she looks up and she looks down. She looks at the mouse. Then she just takes a strawberry and puts it in her mouth and enjoys it thoroughly. Tigers above, Pema writes, tigers below. This is actually the predicament we are always in terms of our birth and our death. Each moment is exactly what it is. It might be the only moment of our life. It might be the only strawberry we will ever eat. We could get depressed about it, or we could finally appreciate it and delight in the preciousness of every single moment of our life. Buddhist teaching, Buddhist practices tell us that we can do this. Metta meditation gives us one avenue of practicing this philosophy. It does require practice, ongoing. We can let go of our burdens and connect with the joy in our heart if we will. Our Sunday offering is an opportunity for all of us to respond to the moment, to our feelings, and give generously even beyond our annual pledge. If you're watching online, the address there is where you can send a check, or you can go to our website and donate there. The morning's offering will be gratefully received, and we welcome the ushers forward. These words from American Buddhist teacher Jack Kornfield. Ingrained in the most modern cultures is the idea that progress is about speed and growth. The mindset of more, better, faster can have a negative effect on our development and quality of life. Remember the rhythms of life that you were born into. Return to them. Live with that kind of dignity and presence that is your birthright. Mindfulness practice can support us in finding the natural rhythms of things, which is the key to this practice, and patience. Maybe the opposite of impatience is not patience, but somehow presence, trust, or contentment. To be able to trust where you are. Let's rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn. It's number 298 in the Great Hymnal, Wake Now My Senses. We'll sing the first 3 verses.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Giving and receiving as love shows us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor with beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer the limit and praise the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the whole sky. Take as your neighbor both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end.
Here in this sanctuary, we offer up what we can of compassion and generosity, and we gather what we need of courage and hope. May we be grateful for the ways we nourish and uplift one another, for this is the sharing of this life together that sustains us all. Go in peace, go in love. Have a wonderful day.